You're ready to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Where do you begin? Do you request the guidance of your stepdad and brace yourself for lots of shouting and name calling? No, you got enough of that when you were learning how to drive a stick shift. Do you call your friend Carson, who started on a Gixxer 600 and immediately yeeted himself into his garage door after forgetting that motorcycles don't have a reverse gear? I don't think so. Neither options are likely to set you up for success in the way in which the Motorcycle Safety Foundation Rider Course will. The MSF Course is by and large the easiest way to learn fundamentals of motorcycle riding in the USA. The alternative is the old school method of buying a bike, getting a learner's permit, and then petitioning the support of an already endorsed friend or family member before ultimately failing your DMV riding test a time or two because, big surprise, you didn't spend the time with your permit doing cone weaves in a parking lot. It actually is kind of strange that this is even an option still. In contrast, over the course of a weekend, the MSF will teach you the basics of riding and upon successful completion, grant you a motorcycle endorsement on your license, which will allow you to continue learning on your own. So today, we're going to go over everything you should expect from the MSF course. You can go in prepared and ready to ride. Before we jump into it, I wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about a promotion we have going on at yammynoob.co. For just 2 days only, we're giving away an Arai helmet with the Cardo PackTalk Edge comm system to one lucky person. So if you're getting ready to start riding, this is a great helmet and comm system to get started with it. So head over to the site and grab yourself some gear to get yourself automatically entered to win. Alrighty, let's get into the video. The first thing to keep in mind when signing up for the MSF course is that everyone is treated as a beginner. Even if you've never ridden a motorcycle, you have the same opportunity for success during the course than the guy who's ridden dirt bikes his entire life. There will be people of all ages and experience levels, but the course is designed to start with the absolute basics. There are often people in the course who have been riding dirty without an endorsement, who have previously had a learner's permit but were unable to complete the DMV skills test without proper training, and their illegitimate experience will only be marginally beneficial during the MSF. But these more quote-unquote experienced riders often have plenty of bad riding habits that will actually inhibit their ability to learn, as opposed to a brand new rider with a completely blank slate. Since the MSF course is designed for total beginners, the only prerequisite being that the attendees have the ability to balance on a traditional bicycle. You technically don't even have to have a driver's license prior to the course. I've seen enthusiastic youngsters take the MSF course a few weeks prior to taking their driver's license test so they can have their motorcycle endorsement immediately upon getting their license. Being catered for absolute beginners, the MSF course is also very accommodating in terms of what gear is required. You only need to provide your own helmet, gloves, boots, eye protection, and long-sleeved jacket to participate in the course, so you don't have to worry about already having a motorcycle to use. And in some places, they will provide you with helmets as well, so you just need to show up with long-sleeve shirts, jeans, boots, and some gloves. This makes it a great option for those who are moto curious but don't want to fully commit to buying a bike just yet. It is a very small investment to take the course to see if you even really want to ride a motorcycle or not, especially if you can borrow gear from a friend or relative. All you need to do is cough up a couple $100 and sacrifice a weekend. Before taking the MSF course, it is important to know that the course requires a good amount of classroom time. Now, I'm going to make a broad, sweeping generalization, so forgive me, but let's just say the average gearhead isn't always keen on no book learning. There is something a little unnerving about making a bunch of fully grown adults who have been out of school for sometimes as long as 2 decades quietly sit in a classroom. The power dynamic between instructor and participant creates a tangible sense of tension. So you've heard it here first, you've been warned. Yes, it is a motorcycle riding course, but your butt is going to be sitting in a desk for about 4 to 5 hours over the weekend, depending on your instructor's teaching style. During the in-class portion, you will essentially be given a crash course on motorcycling 101, starting with very elementary concepts like, what is a motorcycle? What are the types of motorcycles? How are motorcycles different from cars? How are motorcycles different than bicycles? Before moving on to complex ideas like risk management, situational awareness, and then begin to introduce the riding skills you will practice on the course. Your instructor may use the classroom time to establish their character as a motorcyclist. They may use the rhetorical device, ethos, and others to establish trust and credibility with the students. For instance, they'll tell you how many cool and expensive bikes that they own or how many miles they've ridden on their BMW GS 1250. You should also expect to be subjected to some icebreaker moments with your classmates where you share your name, astrological sign, and favorite anime to build a connection with your fellow aspiring riders. The classroom time may feel a little bit infantile to those who have moved beyond their academic years, but trust that it will serve as a good foundation for what will be asked ahead of you on the riding course. Be sure to exercise humility and be respectful of your instructors. No spitballs or hiding a whoopee cushion on their chair, although the humble whoopee cushion still funny, still good. Before you actually click your loaner bike down into first gear and begin fingering that friction zone, your instructor will take time to familiarize you with a motorcycle. Unlike driving a car where you can just plop down, stare into your phone screen, and stomp on the gas pedal and go, a motorcycle requires more advanced inputs and a stronger mechanical understanding. In order to keep a motorcycle shiny side up and under your control, you'll need to understand the mastery of throttle, clutch, and brakes. And if it weren't taxing enough to be responsible for using 4 out of your 5 appendages at the same time, you'll have other moments of necessary multitasking involved using your turn indicators, which you have to cancel yourself. They don't automatically cancel. Switching on your high beams, or even switching your petcock from on to reserve if you're riding a carbureted motorcycle and find yourself running low on fuel. Since motorcycling requires so much succinct multitasking, it is imperative that the location and use of all these controls become second nature, so no matter what situation you're in, you're able to keep the bike upright, stable, and in control. Your instructor will go over everything, including things like the location of the engine kill switch and how it works, which may seem obvious and self-explanatory to an experienced rider, but that may not be the case for someone who's never swung a leg over a motorcycle before. They'll show you how to use the clutch, the throttle, the location of the front brake lever, and the rear brake pedal. Again, very basic stuff, but if you're new to motorcycles or bikes in general, you may not be used to having 2 braking systems operating independently of one another. Similarly, when you're shown how to use the clutch and shift lever, your instructor will explain on a motorcycle transmission and how it works. Even if you're familiar with the manual transmission car, a motorcycle uses a sequential gearbox where the gears are selected as by clicking up and down through the gears, which is different than a gearbox in a manual car where you can select the gears you'd like to be in manually. Once your instructor has explained the controls mechanical systems of the motorcycle, you will begin taking the skills exercises. Napoleon Dynamite said it best when he said,
"Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills."
Unfortunately, the MSF cannot teach you
nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
but they'll teach you plenty of motorcycle skills, a whole slew of them, including but not limited to mounting and dismounting, clutch control, throttle control, shifting gears, braking techniques, counter steering, cornering techniques, emergency braking, and obstacle avoidance, scanning and predictive observation, situational awareness, body position, risk management, group riding, and of course, slow speed maneuvers, baby! Slow speed maneuvers are the name of the game in the MSF course, and I know you guys, I know my audience, I know the dark squiddly desires that live in your heart. Your mom and I have seen those gym socks covered in ink stains when you were doing the laundry. Fast boys will be boys after all, but listen, if you want to ultimately become a fast man, you gotta take it slow first if you want to grow. Riding a motorcycle at high speeds is relatively easy. To be honest, it is. Just keep the throttle open and don't hit what's in front of you. But riding at slower speeds requires the accuracy of a heart surgeon, the grace of a ballerina, and the finesse of the pickpocket that stole your Game Boy Advance SP while on vacation with your parents in 2003, which, come to think of it, some of you may not have been alive in 2003. Weird. The Motorcycle Safety Foundation Basic Rider course places a strong emphasis on teaching riders how to handle low-speed maneuvers effectively. These maneuvers are essential for navigating through tight spaces, making U-turns, and maintaining balance in various situations. After you familiarize yourself with the friction zone and have engaged to rock your bike back and forth 125 times while gradually disengaging and engaging the clutch, you will then be tasked with actually moving your bike through varying obstacles. One of the first exercises is the cone weave, which is pretty self-explanatory as you maintain smooth throttle and clutch control while weaving through tightly spaced cones on the course. From there, you will be tasked with other exercises like completing a right turn from a stop, stopping in a specifically marked area, and attempting the dreaded U-turn. The U-turn is the boogeyman of the MSF course, where you must perform a U-turn in a small designated area without putting your foot down, but you'll get it. Trust me, most people pass the MSF course. Just keep the throttle at a constant low RPM, move the clutch in and out as you need more or less power, drag the rear brake, and look where you want to go. Don't look at the ground, don't look at your hands, don't look at the guy dropping his bike on the other side of the parking lot. Look at the point where you want to exit your turn. You will have the many opportunity to do all these exercises repeatedly. By the very end of the course, you will be complete with each exercise without the help of the instructors in the form of a skills test. You are allowed a certain number of mistakes across the whole skills test to still receive a passing score. These small mistakes include things like putting a foot down or going too slow during an exercise or having too long of a braking distance during the emergency stop. The only automatic failures come from dropping your bike during the final skills test or stalling more than 3 times, I believe. A majority of people that go do pass the course, so just be calm and patient and listen to your instructors. Don't go on a Reddit or Google MSF course fail and psych yourself out. If you do end up failing, you either had really bad luck and dropped your bike, or you truly maybe shouldn't be riding a motorcycle on the street just yet. But I will say, if you failed the test on your first try, go and try again. There's been many of riders who have failed the first time and came back and did it the right way. Outside of riding skills, one of the most important things taught to new riders during the MSF course is how to avoid risk while motorcycling. Motorcycles are inherently more dangerous than cars, so it is important to take extra precautions to protect yourself. Plus, being able to ramble off all the ways in which you are mitigating risk on your motorcycle will come in handy when confronting your conservative or risk-averse family members who are convinced that riding a motorcycle is a death sentence. The easiest way to avoid risk of bodily injury on a motorcycle is just by wearing proper riding gear, including a motorcycle jacket, helmet, gloves, boots, and riding pants if you're a real S-tier fast boy. After gear, an important element taught in the MSF is to ride like you're invisible, which means you must ride as if none of the cars can actually tell that you're there, which is often the case. A motorcyclist needs to have a keen sense of perception to be able to scan the roadway for hazards and take action based on predictive observations from other vehicles around you and ride defensively. Never assume you can be seen and never assume you have the right of way. Seriously, don't just take off from a green light, scan back and forth because people run them all the time and they probably won't see you anyways. Of course, it is easy to avoid risk by being and riding at an appropriate speed, and if you're gonna squid, do it in as safe and an ideal environment as possible. Many motorcycle accidents can be avoided simply by not riding at night and not riding after consuming alcohol, as both factors are highly attributed to motorcycle accidents. And the other big elephant in the room, don't ride faster than your guardian angel can keep up with you. Seriously, don't ride beyond your own pace on a given twisty road. Most motorcycle accidents are single vehicle and it's the rider running off or running wide in a corner. Look where you want to go and trail those brakes in, baby. And the last thing you'll expect to take away from the MSF course is learning how to continue learning. Getting that coveted M on your driver's license doesn't automatically mean you're an expert, and fresh out of the MSF, you're likely far from it, despite what the salesperson told you when you went into the dealership to buy the Hayabusa as your first motorcycle. In order to continue your skills and let all your good MSF habits settle in and become instinctual and second nature, you must practice. You can't just take your Busa out a few times a month for highway pulls with your buddies and expect to become a skillful rider. Spend time riding in different conditions on varying types of roads and in different weather conditions to gain experience and confidence. A popular expression that people use in the MSF when they finish, they say, "Congratulations, you are now capable of riding a motorcycle in a parking lot." And you never ride in a parking lot other than when you're parking. So out there on the real streets, you're going to want to pick up some skills. So gradually expand your riding experiences by venturing into different environments such as city streets, highways, and rural roads. Each environment presents different and unique challenges that can help you become a well-rounded rider. You can't just take the same trip to and from the coffee shop and expect to be confronted with new challenges that will force you to utilize your training. Continually assess your riding performance and identify areas that need improvement. Pay attention to your strengths and weaknesses and work on refining your techniques accordingly. If you nearly sideswiped the sedan because you exited the freeway too quickly and swung wide on your turn, next time you're in that situation, make sure to be cognizant of your entry speed in the turn. Similarly, if you do have a wreck when you start riding, think about what happened in the wreck and try to assess how you're not going to do it in the future. Familiarize yourself with how and when your motorcycle makes power to be able to be in the ideal gear or riding at the perfect speed for a given scenario. If first gear has a twitchy on-off throttle feel, shift up into second before making a sharp turn so you can have a smoother, more consistent power without lurching. These are all general examples. It is important to be critical of your own riding so you can keep improving. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. The MSF is really the best way to learn here in America on how to ride a motorcycle and can be very fun as well. So relax, be open to criticism, and have a good time. And for all my Euro boys, international boys out there, please drop me a comment down below at how silly the MSF is and how we actually need much more rider training in the United States. Holy crap, we really do. Fact. The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, also known as the frequency illusion, occurs when you learn or become aware of something and then all of a sudden you start noticing it everywhere around you. This phenomenon is due to your brain's selective attention, which is heightened by your newfound awareness. Goodbye.